My name is Patricia Lubeck. I was born and raised in Echo. I currently live in Bellevue, which is 4 miles from my childhood home. I'm currently the curator at the Redwood County Museum. I've been there since 2009. I've always been fascinated with crime stories, and especially the early crimes, trying to find out why people commit crimes. I've done extensive research. My first book was Murdering Gales, A Rose Hanged Twice. That was the only man that was hung in Redwood County, and that was a fascinating story. That kind of inspired me to look at other murders that happened in Redwood County, and that's how the second book came about. I spend a lot of time with the research. That's the biggest part of the whole process for me. I like going through the court documents to see if I can find any evidence, positive evidence, who might have committed the crime. I also do a lot of research reading the old newspapers from the area. We have quite a big selection at the Redwood County Museum, and a lot of them are also on microfilm at the Redwood Library, so I spend a lot of time at the Redwood Library. If I can contact any family descendants, I like to get a hold of people. If they're willing to talk about it, a lot of times they don't know much about it, or they don't want to talk about it because that was something you just didn't talk about back in the day. It was quite amazing to find out family descendants that had no clue, had no idea what the whole story was about. And then photos. I like to get photos if I can from this family descendants because that helps tell the story. I have quite a few in this book, and I have quite a few photos in the first book. A lot of them we have in our collection at the Redwood County Museum. One of the very interesting stories in the book, an entire family was slain with an axe. William Kleeman was a farmer in Clements, which is near Redwood Falls. And coming up here on March 23rd of this year marks the 100th anniversary of this terrible tragedy. We don't know why, for sure, why William Kleeman killed his wife and 4 children, and then he hung himself. They had a teacher living with him, Ruth Snyder, and she had gone to visit her family in Mankato that weekend. When she came back to the house that Sunday evening, she first found William Kleeman hanging in the kitchen area, I believe it was. So she cut him down and she tried to revive him, but she couldn't. He'd been dead for quite a while. And then she went looking through the house and found the mother in bed, a large mark on her head, and then she saw the axe on the floor. So she figured that he had committed all the crimes. All the other children were dead. And I suppose he realized what he had done. It was so horrific that he killed himself. So we do have the axe in our possession at the Redwood County Museum, which will be on display this summer. Our theme this summer will be crime and punishment in Redwood County, which ties in nicely with my book, Murder, Mystery, and Mayhem. So it was very interesting for me to come across these murders. I mean, I wouldn't think that there would be so much happening in the early days of Redwood County, but there was a lot going on. People settling out here, coming out from the east, settling in this area. So there wasn't a lot of law enforcement in the area at the time, so people pretty much took matters into their own hands. So there's also a good story in here about the biggest arson case in Redwood County and in the area. The Drew's Hotel burned to the ground, and that happened in Seaforth. There was also a big bank robbery that took place in Seaforth. So a lot of different crimes, not just murders, but other things happening too. And that they're true, and it's local history. People like that stuff.
Yeah.
Truth is stranger than fiction a lot of times. This book proves it.
Yeah.
I guess because we didn't have a lot of qualified, what would you say, sheriffs and deputies, and they didn't know how to go about doing an investigation. There were no forensics. So I just think that it was hard for people to get a fair trial back in the early days, because the whole process was different. And the sheriffs, they were just all new to their position. It was just a different time. It was a different way of doing things, and they felt that somebody had to pay. That was the bottom line. You know, you have 3 crimes in 1 year in Redwood County. Well, somebody's got to pay.
So I've heard it said about with police, like, and this is just a stereotype, but it's like if they suspect a guy, they're gonna find a way to prove it.
Right. I think that's what happened in a lot of cases. Well, what I found out also very fascinating was a lot of these ended up with suicide. They kill the whole family, and then the husband kills himself. I mean, the whole family is wiped out with the crime. It's just sad. I mean, there was another situation, you know, that back in that time period, that people didn't know how to deal with mental illness. And that's a big thing here. I think a lot of people just, because of what they had to deal with on a daily basis, it was just too much for them, and I think they just snapped, you know, and just went on a rampage. And I would like you all to come out and visit me at the Redwood County Museum this summer. We're going to have an awesome exhibit. A lot of things related to my book here, Murder, Mystery, and Mayhem. Of course, the axe will be on display, and some other interesting items from our collection about having to do with early crimes. I hope we'll have a lot of people come out to the museum. We're open starting May 1st through the end of September. We're open Thursdays through Sunday from noon to 4. We're also available by appointment, private tours. Just call the museum. My book is available too online at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble. It'll be at the museum on sale this summer. I'm working on getting it on the Kindle edition too. There's a copy also at the Granite Library for those that just want to check it out.